boss to drive you around. I was giving you, same as you was giving me. The only difference is you complain and I don't.
Turn it off.
No.
You asked me, turn it off.
But you asked me to...
The London call girl and her underworld chauffeur don't get along very well, and Mona Lisa, the movie that won the Best Actor prize for Bob Hoskins there at this year's Cannes Film Festival. It's one of 4 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on At the Movies, the movie review program. I'm Roger Ebert, film critic for the Chicago Sun-Times.
I'm Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune. In addition to Mona Lisa, we'll also be reviewing at the end of the show the career of its impressive star, the irrepressible English actor Bob Hoskins, an actor whose name is not a household word, but I think it should be. First, we'll review 2 more summer films that, get this, have nothing to do with American teenagers. How about that? Including Letter to Brezhnev, about a young English girl falling in love with a Russian. But first, Roger reviews Desert Hearts.
Here is a movie with a storyline that's fairly familiar to veteran moviegoers. A city slicker from the east comes out to Nevada to live and falls in love with a cowgirl. The difference is both of the lovers in Desert Hearts are women, and this is a love story set in the 1950s when lesbians were, of course, forced to conceal their sexual choices, and especially in the West, I suppose, in places like Nevada. The movie stars Helen Shaver as a New York college professor who arrives in Reno to establish her residency requirement so she can get a divorce, and right off the bat, while she's getting a ride from the train station, she meets a high-spirited young woman named Kay.
Oh, brother.
What are you doing up at this hour?
Things to do.
Professor Bell, Kay Rivers. How do you do?
May I call you Professor?
Vivian Bell. Put that damn car and drive!
That's Patricia Charbonneau as Kay, and both women give good performances in this movie, gradually growing emotionally closer, even though the older woman refuses to admit it.
Please, don't turn the light on.
What's the matter? You having a rough night?
You could say that.
Listen, I'm up all hours. Next time you can't sleep, come on by the cottage. Little company beats counting the flowers on the wall.
You're gonna make me cry.
No. I'm gonna make you some tea.
Kay's stepmother, who runs the Dude Ranch, doesn't like what's going on between the 2 women, so she decides to make Helen Shaver leave.
Somebody checking in?
No, somebody's checking out. I made a reservation at the Riverside. Your bags are packed.
I didn't think our leaving the party would cause concern, Francis.
It also caused talk. Here's your refund check. That was uncalled for.
Oh, for God's sake.
Don't you talk to me about God, girl!
You made your point, Francis. It's just as well I leave anyway.
I'll never forgive you for this.
I'll never forgive myself. Letting her come here with her books and her influence over my family.
Shut up, Francis.
I can't claim angel's wings, but I am normal. I think I was proud to call you a friend.
May I tell you, the betrayal is mutual.
Desert Hearts is a very uneven movie with some good things and some not so good things. To begin with the good things, the chemistry between the 2 actors, Helen Shaver and Patricia Charbonneau, is very warm, very convincing, and their relationship eventually leads up to one of the best and most convincing and most erotic love scenes in any recent movie. On the other hand, however, Desert Hearts has a lot of problems at the level of screenplay and direction. There are scenes that are really artificial and unconvincing, and dialogue that sounds written as if it were meant to be read, not said. Those scenes break the reality, even though the actresses are sometimes able to transcend them. So, finally, even though there were things to admire in Desert Hearts, I cannot recommend it.
Well, I can, Roger. I was very impressed by it. You talk about the love scene. Of course, that's the big hot moment, and it is spectacularly well done. But that's not the reason to see the movie. If that were all there was to it, it would just be a freak show. I think what this film is trying to do, and I think it's an advocacy kind of film, is tell a story by setting it in the past in a very natural way. And I'm glad you used that example about, the Easterner goes west and finds a cowgirl, because what I thought this film did, as a cause film, if you will, is show us two normal people. I mean, they're normal except for their one normal in all their behavior except one area. Going about their business and having a relationship, and one person rescuing the other one who's in trouble. And I thought that these actresses were spectacular. Helen Shaver, I've seen before and enjoyed her work. This Patricia Charbonneau, I mean, she's obviously physically striking. She has an inner spark that I think is exciting to watch on screen. And frankly, I just watched the two of them, and I don't remember the words. I just know that the feelings were pure, and the help that she provides for this woman was a joyful thing to see.
Well, I agree with you that the emotions in the movie are very strong, and that they provide the undercurrent that that holds the movie together. What I'm saying, though, is that there are times when they're talking on the screen, and they just talk in ways that people don't talk. And there are also situations in which the camera just doesn't know where to be, although that is not true of the love scene where the camera's in exactly the right places. So this is one of those movies...
I think you're on the fence.
Well, no, I don't recommend it for the problem that...
Well, I'm over the fence.
Okay, fine.
Coming up next, a film about a man who gets into a lot of trouble when he takes a job as a chauffeur to a prostitute.
Where's it going? Pretend you know me, would you? Don't tell you.
To be a very tough love story, an adventure film, tricky, gritty, and superbly acted by the bulldog-like actor Bob Hoskins, playing an ex-con who gets a job as a chauffeur to a high-class prostitute, but his first day on the job, he doesn't know her profession as he meets her at a fancy London hotel.
Doing business.
Darling, sorry I kept you. Darling.
Satisfactory. What do we think this is, the honeymoon hotel? Look, do you have business in this hotel, or can I really help you?
Where's it going? Pretend you know me, would you? Don't tell you.
I beg your pardon.
At the back? So where did they get you from?
Under a cabbage leaf.
Kathy Tyson is very good as the prostitute who uses Hoskins to look for a missing prostitute friend as they visit London Hooker's row of outcasts. A friendship is developing between them.
Yeah, tell me something. Did I ever want you back?
Who?
Your clients.
Always.
What, they fall in love with you? Oh, do they?
Sometimes they fall for what they think I am.
What do they think you are?
What do you think? Black hole.
Did I say that?
What do you think then?
Well, you ain't no night nurse.
I ain't no night nurse.
Let's say you're a lady.
Michael Caine's in the film playing a London underworld chief.
What'd you get?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Yeah, nothing.
What do you mean, nothing?
I mean nothing, Denny. The opposite to something. They drink tea.
She's lying.
Well, why would she lie?
I don't know. You find out.
How am I going to find out?
Well, take a picture. Climb a drain pipe. Find out.
I've got a picture.
You trying to be funny, George?
I told you, Denny, she drinks tea.
You are funny, Georgie.
Yeah, I suppose I am, yeah.
Get something better.
Well, how do you mean, better?
I mean, dirty, nasty, slimy, kinky. I don't want to know anything about tea. All right then, George?
Michael Caine has a way of showing up in a lot of very good films. And I tell you, we've been doing tributes to actors and directors from time to time. I think it may be time to look at the career of Michael Caine.
Time for Michael Caine.
Yeah, because he's very good here. Mona Lisa has reminded me of a couple of very fine American films, Taxi Driver and Hardcore, films of the night about life as it is lived. This film is not as brutal at first as those American films, but the shock value is always hovering around the edge of this picture, waiting to surprise not only us, but Bob Hoskins as well. I like it as a thriller and as a very offbeat and tricky love story.
It's a very, very good film. I liked it very much. One of the things I enjoyed about it is that although it is essentially about a prostitute, it is about the prostitute and her chauffeur. It's not about the prostitute and her clients. It doesn't fall prey to the temptation of showing us a lot of kinky love scenes. What goes on between closed doors largely goes on between closed doors, and we're out in the car waiting with Bob Hoskins, who starts out at the beginning of this movie so filled with fury and so angry with her, as we saw, and then eventually he softens, and it turns out that really through her experiences and her background, she's the one who's really hard.
He also has another great relationship with a buddy who works in a garage.
Right, yeah.
Which was very well cast, and I think the film is making a point about not taking people's class for granted. You know, if you're a prostitute, that doesn't mean you are a certain kind of person. If you're a garage mechanic, his buddy, you're not a certain kind of, you can be cultured too. Right. If you're an ex-con, that doesn't mean you can't be reformed. I think there's a heart to this film about how people can change. I think it's a very special film.
There's one other thing about the film I liked, and that is very few films in recent years have had a better feel for the streets of London. For all of the places of London, hotel lobbies and fish and chip shops, Soho, and the Embankment. This is a real Londoners film about these people who live in this city and survive. Next at the movies, not London, but Liverpool, the story of a Liverpool girl who meets a Russian sailor in a bar and falls in love with him.
The truth is, there was no filth or smut. We love each other.
Yeah, I'm sure. Our next movie is named Letter to Brezhnev, and it's opening slowly around the country, so look out for it, because it's a real treasure. Another one of those small slices of life from England, which seems to be going through a real boom in making good low-budget films these days. Mona Lisa is one example. Also, My Beautiful Anderette, Local Hero, this film. The movie's about a couple of Liverpool working-class women who pick up two Russian sailors in a pub one night, and in this scene, they've all gone back to a hotel together, and the two women talk about the wisdom of what they're doing.
We're not prostitutes, you know.
Do you want to know what we are? Desperate. Oh, desperate. God, I feel like an old boot paying for men.
I know it's a lot of money and that, but we did get it dead easy, didn't we? You told me off earlier on for whining and moaning and about not having any sense of adventure. And you were right. That's why I suggested coming here. I'm not like you, Teresa. I'm just a straight Kirby girl with a strong imagination, nothing else. Well, here's my chance for something else, and yours as well. Even if it is just for the one night, we'll always have the memory of it, won't we?
The somewhat unfortunately named Alexandra Pig gives a wonderful performance as that serious and love-struck young woman. Here she says goodbye to her sailor, played by Peter Firth.
I feel like a criminal standing here. What time do you have to be on board?
In about 4 minutes. I want you, Elaine. I want you to marry me. I have nothing to gain, nothing, just you.
It takes a bit longer than a few minutes, you know.
Please.
Oh, Peter, it's off its head, isn't it? How can I marry you if I'm stuck here and you're stuck in Russia?
It won't be forever. We will be together again.
When, Peter, when? Oh, why did it have to happen to me? Why couldn't I have just got into someone from Kirby? Just don't forget me, okay? I'll always love you, you know.
I must go.
She wants to see him again, and eventually, in desperation, she writes a letter to Brezhnev, who was then the Russian premier. That gets her an interview with a British diplomatic official.
If you go to Russia, if you marry, and if you become a Soviet citizen, from the moment that you sign the form, which makes you eligible for Soviet citizenship, it is unlikely from that time onwards that you will be allowed to leave Russia. You must understand that you must give up everything.
I haven't got anything to give up.
You have. You have your youth, you have your beauty, you have your freedom.
Those Liverpool accents, by the way, seem sort of thick at the beginning of the movie, but eventually you kind of get used to them. Letter to Brezhnev is an unusual and heartwarming love story, and it works because the performances of those two actresses are just right. The quiet desperation of Margie Clark as the blonde party girl is contrasted with the fresh idealism of her younger friend, and the movie is really just about those two women. The men are more like walk-ons, supporting actors. What I like best about the film was the way that young woman stood up to all the forces of discouragement in her life because she loved her man and she wanted to see him again.
I liked it, Roger, maybe not as much as you did, but I liked it for just, I think what you're saying, which is the way the two women behave. This movie in its own way reminded me of Saturday Night Fever with its Brooklyn Bay Ridge working class
exactly.
thing. This is a couple of girls that you know it's dead on straight. It's shot almost like a documentary. This is the way it really is for a lot of people.
And another one that reminded me of is Saturday Night and Sunday Morning, only this time the proletarian party people out there in the pubs on Friday night are women instead of men, and this is, but they're just as aggressive. They're going to have a good time too. They're not like the little passive women of 25 or 30 years ago in those movies. They're having their day in the sun now.
What let me down was actually the finish. I mean, the whole thing, Letter to Brezhnev and all that, seemed to me like almost unnecessary. I mean, it's a little melodramatic. That's the only quibble I have. But as for two character representations, that I liked it, especially the blonde character. I'll never forget her.
Marty Clark. Coming up next, a closer look at one of the most underrated actors in the world, Bob Hoskins.
He's dead. Eric, he's dead. Car bomb.
Our X-ray subject this week, Bob Hoskins, a name you should know. Bob Hoskins is a veteran English stage actor who has made quite a name for himself in the film world, first with his startling performance as a gutsy mobster in The Long Good Friday. Here's the scene that made him a star. Explosive, funny energy.
For more than 10 years, there's been peace. Everyone to his own patch. We've all had it sweet. I've done every single one of you favours in the past. I've put money in all your pockets. I've treated you lot well, even when you was out of order, right? Well, now there's been an eruption. One of my closest friends. He's lying out there in the freezer. And believe me, all of you, nobody goes home until I find out who done it.
He's real and you can feel it, and if you've seen Rocky, you start to imagine all sorts of funny things about what he might do to these guys hanging up there as slabs of meat. After that debut in a leading role, Hoskins was immediately pitched by Hollywood, and here again he plays another captivating lowlife in Francis Coppola's The Cotton Club.
I heard what Gloria Swanson was saying about you. Yeah? A lot of my cash goes to different places, if you know what I mean. The son goes to Hollywood, and to the studios, and to movies. And you could front for us. What do you mean front? You're a man of taste. Be my face on the coast. Want the Dutchman? I'll keep the Dutchman off your back. Huh? Come and have some lunch. Come on.
In that scene, he sort of reminds me of an English Gene Hackman. He's got that rough face, and that's a tight close-up. If he's faking it, if we don't believe he's a mobster, that'll show through, and Hoskins is very convincing. He's a tough guy. What makes him so appealing, though, it's his tough look, I think, with an inner sweetness. And that's true even when he's screaming, as in his new film, Mona Lisa.
No! Get out! Get out! Now, baby. Now tell me I'm fired.
All right, you're fired.
Lovely. I'm fired and you're street walking.
You swine.
He's angry, but you can tell he cares about her. Hoskins also is appearing now in Alan Alda's new film, Sweet Liberty, where I thought he was much too intense and not funny. Maybe it was the direction, who knows? Maybe pure comedy is not his thing. I think he's better, though, as a tough guy with a heart of gold and also part brass.
One of the nice things about video cassettes is that you can go back and look at a career like Bob Hoskins'. And I, not long ago, rented The Long Good Friday again, which I hadn't seen since it first came out. What a magnificent film.
Oh,
what a portrait of seamy London underlife there along the dockland. And what a great performance by Bob Hoskins. He is so powerful in there that you almost make that a definition of what good acting is, just as another actor that he reminds me of Jimmy Cagney in his tough guy roles.
You know, I've had a theory for a long time that the role that makes somebody a star, there's something in that role that is exactly in their character, and it's that fusion of the reality of the person and this character in a good script that makes them a star. So Bob Hoskins has to be tough guy someplace. Well,
I guess he must be. Now let's take another look at the movies that we reviewed on this program. We had a split decision on Desert Hearts. Gene liked its love story. I thought the screenplay was sometimes needlessly distracting. 2 thumbs up, though, for Mona Lisa, with its great performance by Bob Hoskins as a London criminal character with a good heart. It's a terrific movie. And 2 more thumbs up for another good offbeat British film, Letter to Brezhnev, about a Liverpool girl and the Russian sailor she falls in love with. And probably, of the 3 of them, Mona Lisa would be my choice as the
I like Mona Lisa.
of the week.
I like Desert Hearts just as much. That's one I really like. And wasn't it refreshing? No American teenagers on this show?
And right in the middle of the summer, too. I don't know how we accounted for that. We'll probably have some next week.
I think we will. Who
else will we have next week, by the way?
Okay. Next week, Robert Redford and Deborah Winger star in a romantic comedy set in the legal and art worlds of New York City in Legal Eagles. And Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines star as 2 undercover Chicago cops looking to retire early in Running Scared. That's next week, and until then, we'll see you at the movies.